I Love You Like Crazy Cakes by Rose Lewis. Once upon a time in China, there was a baby girl who lived in a big room with lots of other babies. The girls shared cribs with one another and became great friends. The girls had nannies to take care of them, but each was missing something: a mother. Far away across the ocean was a woman who also had many friends, but she was missing something too: a baby. That woman was me. So I wrote a letter to the officials in China and asked if I could adopt one of the babies who lived in the big rooms. Months later, I received a letter with a picture of a beautiful baby girl. That was you. The people in China said I could adopt you if I promised to take good care of you. I promised I would. A few weeks later, I packed my suitcases with toys, books, diapers, food, and clothes just for you, and boarded a plane for the very long trip to China. There were other families who were also waiting to meet their babies. I was so excited and so nervous, I couldn't wait to hold you. The next day, your nannies brought you and your friends from the countryside to the city to meet us. I was so happy that I cried the moment I took you in my arms. You cried too. Aww. I had been waiting for you my whole life. I brought you back to the hotel and you sat down on the bed to get a good look at you. You sat up straight. Your rosy cheeks made you look like a soft pink doll. When you looked at me with those big brown eyes, I knew we belonged together. I love you like crazy cakes, I whispered. How did this happen? How did someone make this perfect match a whole world away? Did the Chinese people have a special window to my soul? The first night, I laid you down in the crib and made up with crisp white linens and new blankets from America. I tucked you in and I kissed your little hands and tiny feet 100 times. I was falling in love. Whenever you weren't sleeping, I played with you. I put silly hats on you and I took pictures of you. I stared at you while you napped. I know you were really awake and pretended to be asleep so you could get some rest. On the long trip home, you stood up on your seat and smiled at the man behind us. You charmed the flight attendants and slept like an angel as we flew through the clouds. It was the end of one amazing journey and the beginning of another. When we finally landed, your grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends were waiting for you with lots of hugs and kisses. Everyone wanted to look at you. Your smallest cousin gently touched your little hand. You cried when others took you from my arms and stopped when they brought you back. You and I had become so close so quickly. Your new room was filled with toys, stuffed animals, and a new crib. All the grown-ups watched as you carefully checked out your new room. Then you smiled as if to say, I'm home. Flowers, cards, and presents arrived. More and more people came to visit you. Pre-COVID times. But when they all left and that first day turned to night, I took you to your room, played a lullaby, and rocked you to sleep. I held you tightly, kissed you softly, and cried. The tears were for your Chinese mother who could not keep you. I wanted her to know that we could always remember her. And I hope somehow she knew you were safe and happy in the world. So this story means so much to me because when I grew up, I was read this book almost every night by my mom, but I was adopted by a mom and dad, not just a mother. But this was one of my favorite childhood stories that resonated with my heart and my soul just because of the meaning behind it. And I think it tells a beautiful story of what adoption can be and is, and it really correlates with my adoption story as well. But I really hope you enjoyed this story. Maybe you learned a little bit of adoption and what it's kind of like through the story. And it's also not as glamorous as a lot of stories make it seem. But this story and my story are both so beautiful, so similar as well. But another thing that's a little different is like my whole family, like all my grandparents were there when I met them. I I didn't wait to meet them here in Michigan. I met them all in China, and we all flew home together. And so that was like one of the best and most amazing stories that I like to tell people. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this read, and I can't wait to watch all your reads and what you guys chose.